So it's not going.
It's just going very slowly. Why? It's because I'm laughing. There are two of those.
Would you like?
No.
All right, I guess we can start.
Okay, let's call to order the Monday, November 19th, 2018 meeting for the Green Bay Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission month. Move along to item A, roll call. I don't know, we don't have roll call, everybody's here, but Bridget, so.
I want to say for the record, we can too verbally.
Can you? Okay, all right. I usually skip over that one. So let's move on to B, approval of the agenda. Approval of the agenda, Monday, November 19th, 2018, Traffic, Bicycle, and Pedestrian Commission meeting agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would move B and C.
Okay. Motion made to approve B and C. Do I hear a second? Second. All, excuse me, motion made. All vote.
I think a little button will pop up.
So, not to. All votes marked as yes.
Yep, okay, so we're good with B and C. Let's move on to D, regular business, initial request, consideration with possible action on a request by the traffic engineer to establish a no parking zone on both sides of Mather Street from Gray Street to Broman Street due to the addition of bike lanes on its recent reconstruction.
Yeah, that's somewhat self-explanatory. We recently reconstructed Mather Street, in essence from about Velp, this block or so to the west, is where the easterly terminus is located, and all the way west toward Gray Street. So the bike lanes are now in place, they're painted, they're signed. We did maintain the same roadway width throughout there, so there was parking, so obviously we needed to make room for the bike lanes, which is why the parking needs to be removed. This item had been previously approved by Improvement Service Committee and was moved forward to Common Council. And since the residents were informed in advance of the change through the informational meeting process during the design phase, the approval of the restricting the on-street parking is more of a formality in this case. So I make a recommendation to approve of removal of any sort of smaller parking zones that may be on there, which in this case we just have some no parking here to corners that exist by Gray Street, and then establishing the no parking bike lane zones on both sides of Mather Street from Gray Street to Vroman Street.
Okay. Move to approve. Motion been made to approve.
Second.
Motion been seconded. All in favor?
Okay. I guess I'm the only one voting.
You got you vote now. You can machine.
Ah, that's why.
All votes marked as yes.
Okay. 2, initial request by Alderman Weary on behalf of Matthew Johnson, 1420 Frank Street, to restore the no parking zone removed in 2013 at the inside corner of Frank Street and Rockdale Street due to difficulty backing in and pulling out of a camper.
If you look at the TV monitor, you can see the location of the item in question, somewhat close to Lambeau Field. It's what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so blocks away north of Lambeau Field. So there is a little bit of history on this item. Back, excuse me, prior to August of 2013, there was a no parking zone that existed on this inside corner of Rockdale Street and Frank Street. Now that zone was installed because the former owner on the inside corner had requested it be restricted to keep Packers fans from parking there on game day. That homeowner no longer lives at this location and the property is rented out to new tenants. So both the new tenants and Mr. Johnson, who lives at, I believe the address is 1420 Frank Street, wanted the no parking signs removed, so it was brought forward in August 2013. By then, District 8 Alderman Burnett, and was approved. So let's fast forward to 2018, and same resident living across the street has actually made a request to restore the no parking restriction on that inside corner. And as the request states, he's having difficulty backing in and pulling out a camper into the driveway. So looking at the map a little bit more closely, you can see the alignment of Rockdale Street somewhat lines up with his driveway. His driveway is a little south of the alignment of Rockdale Street. So there is a curb ramp that's at this corner, the southeast corner of the intersection. And it's my understanding, based off of some questions that I had asked the alder to ask of the residents, that if this is getting parked up and blocked and things like that, and it didn't sound like it was actually getting blocked, but I believe that there are parkers that are getting close to this. So I had our sign shop paint the safety zone, so it's basically 15 feet away or each side of that curb ramp. So we got a little over 30 feet of yellow painting around that curb ramp. Through some email exchange, I found out that this hydrant over in the northwest corner also needed to get painted. So that's actually going to be on the painting list for next year. And also at 1420, the request was to paint the curb heads of the driveway 4 feet each side to match the ordinance for the restriction of no parking within 4 feet of the driveways. Is a matter of just clarifying how much capacity the street may have, or both of these streets. There are 36 feet in clear roadway width, meaning from face of curb to face of curb, 36. So that gives or allows for one 10-foot travel lane and one 8-foot parking lane. Now, parking lanes can go down to 7 feet. So you've got a travel lane that is an acceptable width. This is not a truck route, so 12-foot requirement is not needed. So 10 foot is about as low as we want to go on a residential, but we have enough for parking and travel for both sides of the street. That's about all the information that I have to really provide. So it'll just really be up to the commission to make a decision on whether or not the corner needs to be cleared.
Traffic count's gotta be almost 30 or 40 vehicles a day. Or is that used for?
Yeah, I don't have actual documentation of Rockdale or Frank Street, but given its location, and that it's not a through street, it's a residential, the numbers are going to be low. You're probably 100, 200 average vehicles per day. So yes, now that's on a normal day. It's my understanding, though, that I think a lot of this is somewhat connected to Packers game day events. So your 8 games a year, your preseason games, and if Packers do well, postseason. So with that being said, I really do think this may be somewhat linked to the Packers game day events when both streets, both sides are going to be parked up fully. Outside of that, yeah, I can't imagine that there's too much parking activity.
Is there a downside to establishing the no parking zone date that you can see?
Just going to be less number of people that can park on the street. And again, like I said, I think it's more of a current concern, not necessarily a concern, just more of a fact that it's just less available on-street parking for the average Packers fan that's going to the game.
Well, is the whole issue boiled down to the camper, getting in and out of the camper?
That's my understanding, correct. Yeah,
Well,
it
how
was never
often does
mentioned
that
it was a
person
standard vehicle
back up
issue.
his camper when you have a Packer game going on?
I guess you would have to use whatever available travel lanes, and in this case, Rockdale Street, to maneuver and back it in.
But you're only talking about 8 days a year, I'm just concerned about setting a precedent for somebody that wants us to mitigate any problem they have backing up their camper.
Basically, what you painted out there is what the state statute is, right?
City ordinance, yes.
15 feet from a crosswalk.
Yeah.
So it's really nothing any different. That's already an ordinance or statutes. So it just would be a question, do you put the sign up or not?
Right. Just for clarity as well, they're really asking for reestablishing what was there prior to August of 2013, which was 35 feet south of the intersection and east of the intersection. So then a total of 70 feet around instead of what right now is marked as 30 feet, or 30 feet to keep clear of that safety zone. So you got 15 feet south
I
versus
guess-
35 feet south.
I'm not sure if I want to set a precedent of doing this. And secondly, why shouldn't we be concerned about Packer fans being able to park? It's one of the biggest institutions in the city. And for what? Are we just trying to placate one homeowner with a camper? I'm not enthusiastic about it.
So who came back in 2013? This Matthew Frank, or, I mean,
It was the requester now that's asking for the restriction back in 2013. He was the one that was asking for it. just
so
the
he was good
reverse.
with changing it back to 2013, but now he wants it back to what it was 5 years later.
Correct. I don't know for a fact, but I can only presume maybe he didn't have a camper before. I don't know.
Who knows?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move that we reject this particular item.
Okay. I have motion made to reject the item. Do I hear a second to that?
Second.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded.
Correct.
Let you all vote.
No, a yes vote means we
Reject.
Reject.
yes is reject.
Yeah, the motion on the table is to deny the request, so I guess if you agree with that, you vote yes.
All votes marked as yes.
Okay, we want to, item 3, termination of 90-day trial periods. Do you want to run some of these together, Dave, or?
Yes, actually, items D3, D4, D5, and D6 are all related to the North Webster Avenue project. This was just to clean up some of the available on-street parking that was there. There was just that one little area by Day Street that was there for the weekend parking, which was removed. And that's actually something kind of similar to almost item D1, where it's project-related, where you've got reconstruction of the roadway, and based off that classification of roadway, there really should not be any on-street parking anyway. So that one, items D3 through D6, I certainly make a recommendation to move forward to ordinance. Item D7 has to do with removal of the meter in the 100 block of Cherry Street, which was that one and only meter that we had on the north side, right by the alleyway entrance, real close to City Deck. That was one that we had all sorts of problems with for many years, and it's been gone, and it's been much better since it's been gone. So I certainly make a recommendation for that one as well, to move forward to ordinance.
Okay.
Adopt as recommended.
Make a motion to move 3 through 7 ordinance.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Everyone wants to vote, please.
Just do the first one.
Okay. All votes marked as yes.
Okay, thank you. Move on to informational. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 17, 2018. We talked about, previous to the meeting starting, past years, we've always not had a December meeting unless there's been pertinent issues that came up. I think, Dave, what we did is, you maybe emailed me or let me know, like, sometime in December if there's anything that was really important. then we
Correct.
would have a meeting, but short of having something that really needs to have, is a hot button issue that needs to be discussed in December, we usually postpone until January, so that would be my recommendation for.
Okay, there is one item that I know that is under discussion right now that could be time sensitive.
Okay,
And we have a meeting on December 7th to discuss it with the relative parties. So if that does become a time-sensitive issue, we could always reinstate the meeting to that day.
good.
But it's really up to the commission now if they want to move forward and cancel it, or if you just want to leave it as is, and then we send a cancellation notice out later if this item does not come to fruition.
I think I would probably lean towards holding it open and then make a determination with the understanding probably that we're not having it. But
Mhm.
if this item becomes time sensitive, then we don't have to restate the meeting. I mean, I'd rather not cancel it until we know we're,
Right. I would probably have an answer for you that day or the day after.
Okay.
So literally, it's about 2 weeks prior to the meeting, you should have an answer.
okay. Well, I would encourage you to, just from the standpoint of the traffic commission, it's nice not to have that December meeting, but if something is important to the city, recognize that we would then need to have the meeting, but if you can push it off till January, I think that would be appreciative of the commission to the traffic engineer.
Right. Yeah, if we deem that it's not necessarily time sensitive, then by all means, I'd say let's cancel.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Move on to item, or letter G. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made and seconded. Everybody wants to vote, please? I think everybody wants to adjourn. I think so.
Done?
We're done? We're yes on that one, I take then?
And cancel.
I'll vote smart as
Okay. We're adjourned.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy